Thank you very much, Marco and Ricky. We're getting ready.
Do you want me to stay on the phone, yeah?
One more dance, I shall say, for these two legends of the sport this weekend in Manchester.
Well, a very good afternoon and welcome to Hyde in Manchester. We're back in the Hatton gym, we should call it, because it is the exhibition between Ricky the Hitman Hatton and Marco Antonio Barrera, the babyface assassin. Someone who hasn't aged, or our very own Benjamin Button, Anthony Croydon, with us, former world champion from Manchester. Anthony, it's nostalgic and it's surreal. It's like a little bit of a step back in time, seeing these two legends look so well. It's an exhibition, it's a celebration, and I think there's a lot of big smiles around the place at the moment.
It is. I'm here as I feel a huge fans, and obviously I think any young British fighter at the time, certainly Mancunian young fighter coming through, absolutely idolised Ricky Hatton. And then I think for me, probably the best fight I've ever seen, remember being shown on Sky Sports, was Marco Antonio Barrera and Morales one. So to see them both going through sort of the routine again, to be competing on Saturday night, all be an exhibition, it's strange. I don't know if it makes you feel young, old, I'm not sure what it makes you feel, but it's yeah, listen, there's a lot of people who are going to be inspired by this journey.
Yeah, it's. I think the word I want to use, it's very cool, isn't it? Like a lot of the old gang are here.
Yeah.
Mickey Van, who's refereeing, he's here. Marco Antonio Barrera, as I said, Campbell Hatton, Mark Robinson, who was the Hatton photographer, even our very own David Kane, the cameraman, who was there from the start, he's here as well. It's like a bit of a reunion, but just great shots of the two of them. It shows how friendly they are. I think there is a little bit of a worry, you know. Both are over 40 years old, getting back in the ring, but actually I think that a lot of those worries are ebbing away because they can see that, yes, they've taken it seriously, but it's being done in the right spirits as well.
Of course, yeah. I think this will do, I think, mental health is such a huge thing at the minute. I think it's going to inspire so many people on their journey. When you're seeing, I think Ricky's very vocal on it. You can see the shape he's in. He's fighting, but in a good way. But I think that you just mentioned there, I think, about reunion and stuff. What was fantastic to see, then you're seeing both fighters, both fathers with the sons talking, and it's like, wow. And obviously Campbell coming off a good win, but it is boxing, recently it's not had the best press recently, but I know, people have their opinion on this exhibition, is it dangerous, stuff like that, but there's a lot of good things that come out of boxing, and when you're seeing friendships like that, respect like that, and sort of the weight loss that we've seen there, Ricky, and it's sort of better health with both physically and mentally, it's been a good thing.
Yeah, I would 100% agree with that. One of the big things that Ricky, who was on the Toto podcast yesterday, what he said was it's taken off albeit 4 stone, more or less. It's given him a structure, and he's now in the gym with the likes of Brad Ray and
of course, his own little stable.
Yeah, with his own stable, and he's able to get in there and jump in with them. How do you think, we'll get a question to him later, but how do you think he will feel at the top of that ramp? I'm sure it will be a very emotional time.
I think it will be emotional, yeah. It'll bring back many memories. I always say it, I think people ask me, and I always try to prepare myself the best you can. I think Ricky will say the same. No drink or drug, what I could imagine, could give you that thrill of walking out in front of a packed out.
It's that replacement. You can't replace it, I suppose, when you retire.
You realise that you're never going to get that high again, accepting that you'll look for it in other ways, and I believe that's what happened. I believe with a lot of boxers when they struggle walking away from the sport because it's hard to accept you're never going to get those highs, but I'm sure waiting to come out on Saturday, the old butterflies will be going, whether it be an exhibition or not. The only one we can't be the band are in town.
I can already see the drums and the trumpets. I wasn't prepared for this today, I'm sure. So hopefully we've got a little bit of a treat for you coming up. There is only one Ricky Hatton still, and we're going to hear it today. While we've got you here, just as it stands at the moment, we'll wait for Marco to work out first, and then Ricky will jump in and do a bit. Why we've got a little bit of time, I might as well quiz you on the other event that's happening on the same night, the boxer card. Tasha Jonas, who you know very, very well. I mean, what a run her and Joe Gallagher are on at the moment. It's incredible. A chance to become a 3-belt champion. It's an
unbelievable run, and I don't think she likes to mention her age too much, but she's getting better with age. I mean, it's hard to say because, you look at that and without doubt, I think the last 3 fights have been probably her best 3. Some of the last 4 have been the best 3 performances of her career, and I thought last time out she was fantastic, and she fights on Saturday, I'm right saying, with the ring title as well. Tough opponent, but she looks fantastic in the gym, and I know Joey respects the opponent massively, but Tash goes out there, what she's done the last 2 times, and I believe she has another belt in the collection for sure.
You were someone that perhaps was I don't want to get this wrong, but you became so efficient and powerful up at lightweight, but for a long time you were really good at super feather. Did you take that gamble and think, well, let's see what happens? It's just, I wonder if we're overdoing the weight now. I still think of Tasha jumping up 3 weight divisions. Your head falls off a little bit. But actually, do we stop talking about the weight now?
She's really well at the weight. I mean, you could say that, like I said, because last few fights she's looked as good as she's ever looked. But I also believe she could certainly make her weight low. But I think she's in a good position where she can fall about and sort of chase those big fights. I know recently we saw a huge event in Crusher Shields, Savannah Marshall. I know her name's gone out there, and that's realistic. If Shields comes down a weight, then that's also a realistic fight. A huge fight to make as well. But obviously she's got to come through on Saturday, but she's prepared as always. She looks fantastic, and I'm really looking forward to it. I thought last time out in Liverpool it was an unbelievable fight.
What stands out for you on the rest of the undercard? I mean, they're going to get you in trouble here because they're all good fights, actually. I think whoever else I talk to in the room, we're all looking forward to different things. But who stands out for you? What's the fight you're most looking forward to on the undercard?
You could get me in trouble. I always love a good British title fight. I know Dalton Smith, Casey Benjamin. So the one that sticks out for me on the undercard is a lad I've known since he was a teenager. Well, since he was a chubby 12-year-old. You don't mind me saying, and that's Brad Ray. and he's hardly put a foot wrong so far. I believe on Saturday night he's got his first real test, like real sort of test where in Tyler Denner he's fighting very capable lad. Brad knows that, but it's the kind of fight that I think prepares him along the line when he's challenging for bigger titles. But I think that's a great fight.
Yeah, Tyler Denny is exploded on the scene, with two fights against River Wilson Bent. They felt they were on the way to win the first one, which was controversially stopped on the cut. Second one, he boxed brilliantly. He can come forward, but he can also be awkward. What makes me laugh is last time I spoke to you, we were talking about Brad Ray on the Khan Brook undercard, and you sort of make comparisons in terms of how he makes the weight and how he's the big guy at the weight to Callum Smith, and even a little bit facially as well. He is massive at that weight, and he will have a sizable sort of height advantage over Tyler Denny.
There's definitely similarities there. I think the way they both look to catch with the left hook and work on the inside for such tall guys at the weight. But like you say, we can't overlook Tyler Denny. He's when he gets into a rhythm, he can become a very hard fight to get out of that and to beat. And he's going to see this as his big chance. Even though he's going in there as the champion, he believes this is his chance. And I think River Wilson Bent, before that, David Taz, he'd won one of the boxing tournaments. He beat him very convincing in a good fight. So I think like with Brad, like for this is the kind of fight he's been crying out for. And like what I also respect, Brad's a real fighter where he could have probably took an easier fight where he would have got probably more credit for than this. But you see him and Blaine, Ricky working so hard together, and I believe on Saturday night he'll get asked a few questions, but I do believe he'll come through it. And I think these are the kind of fights in a young prospect's career that serve him so well down the road when you're chasing bigger titles.
How hot are you on Dalton Smith at the moment? I haven't met anyone that isn't on this journey.
Yeah,
he seems one of the brightest prospects. Can't really call him a prospect. He's British champion legitimately. He takes on Casey Benjamin, who's come up the hard way, campaigned at the weight above for the majority of his career. But he's a real danger man as well. And Mick Hennessy and Ben Shalom have got. They don't think this is a given at all. But there is a lot. I can't get away from the fact there is a lot of focus on Dalton Smith, who looks a real diamond at 140.
There's no doubt that. Yeah, I'm part of the Dalton Smith fan club. Technically superb. Not all father and son relationships work in boxing, but that's one that really does work. They've got a great relationship, and he's improving all the time. And I believe I know Dalton's around sort of the GB set. We might have seen him just looking to go to the Olympics, but there's a lot of quality there as well. But I believe he turned over a little bit earlier, and I believe he's got that head start, and he's looking very much the season's pro now. And let's not step away from that. Casey Benjamin's a very good fighter, and this is his big chance. He's a very capable fighter, comes from a great stable. I know John Pegg rates him very highly and the team down there. But yeah, there's no denying it. He will be up against it in Dalton Smith on Saturday night. A lot of people are tipping Dalton Smith to be a future world champion.
Before we move back on to the exhibition, Fraser Clark, he's got that yardstick fight, Kamil Sokolowski. A lot of people calling for it. Yeah. A lot more people calling for it, particularly after Fraser's last outing, which everybody holds their hands up and just says, look, it was unfortunate, and I think everyone wants to move on from that. And they've moved on with Kamil Sokolowski, which is the fight that a lot of people wanted because it will show us where Fraser's at with his development. If you don't know boxing and you look at Kamil Sokolowski's record, you say that's a walkover for Fraser. But that's simply not true, is it?
And this isn't meant in a disrespectful way, isn't it? He's a real gatekeeper for going from prospect to moving on to challenging for maybe domestic titles and like that. If you come through Sokolowski, there's a great chance you can do something. He's a very capable opponent, and I think it's the kind of fight that Fraser has been crying out for. Certainly after last time out, it was just, I think, not that was anyone's fault really. It was just a bit of bad luck. Opponent looked well on paper.
Yeah, he was a late replacement, wasn't he? And no one really knew that he was going to be a cruiserweight.
Yeah, and that was it. But you'd be shocked if he doesn't get a test on Saturday night and a few questions be asked. But again, we were talking about before, I think at this point in his career, that's the kind of fight Fraser wants and needs to be having.
Just going to get cameraman Dave to swing around just a fraction, just to see what we can see while we're waiting here. You can see Marco Antonio Barrera just conducting one or two interviews, and then Dave, if you just pan around to the right here, the Hatton band back together. Gave us all headaches for years. I mean, I don't know if they were allowed back into America. Such was the noise that they made. It is funny with him. And there's those great days, and he does look so well. Let me ask you about the AO Manchester Arena. I mean, they get in trouble for calling it all the wrong names, but traditionally, synonymous with Manchester Arena now. Brad Rader on the podcast, and he described it. It makes noises like no other arena. From someone that's been there, just let us into what it's like at the top of the ramp when everybody's on it.
I think maybe I'm being biased, but it's the best arena in the world.
Yeah.
It's the biggest indoor arena in Europe. Right, saying that, I know it certainly was.
I think you might be wrong, but I'll go with it. It could be.
But I think it is. It's an arena, in my opinion, that's built for boxing.
Yeah.
There's only a bad seat in there and a packed Manchester Arena. We've seen some of the great nights over the years. You're in that arena. It's literally, you do feel like the boot is going to come off. And I think as a young fighter myself, I was there for some really Ricky's big nights up in the upper tier, and it would do special nights. And for me, just like the songs, just like the band, there'll only ever be one Ricky Hatton. And I say it like, I was fortunate to have some amazing nights there, but for atmosphere, the Ricky Hatton nights, I don't believe we'll ever be them.
It is about Hatton and Barrera thing, but let me ask you, what was your best night there? From a personal point of view, I've had some great nights working on Anthony qualifying nights. Barossa, the noise.
Yeah,
just
a lot
incredible.
Of
I don't know what it was that night, but you could pick any of your big ones. Which was your big one?
It probably was that one. I think. I remember one of the ring walks with Lara's fights was pretty special as well. Yeah, probably that Russ one. I think that was the underdog as well. And yeah, it felt like the roof was going to come off in there. It was. I think it's an atmosphere that many people who's there just come up to talk about it, and that means an awful lot to them.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, I could be there watching a concert, I could be watching something with a young lad, and it's hard not to be there and think back to those nights and get that adrenaline going.
I heard it before, he says it's doing nothing for my ego. Ricky, really great to see you. I was just saying, it's like coming back in time.
So yes, if you just joined us, this is the media open workouts for Hatton and Barrera, the exhibition. Both guys are here just fulfilling one or two light media duties, and then they're going to be jumping in the ring and doing a little bit of a workout. Anthony Collar is still with us. Looking at the Manchester scene, how, and you go back to sort of the almighty days, Champs Camp and stuff like that, but how important was the Hatton legacy? And the reason I say that is because I've seen his dad here, and I've seen Campbell here, and the generations, and the Hatton legacy lives on, but I just wonder if Barry Jones described it as he was the last working class hero. Difficult question, will there ever be another sort of Ricky Hatton? I don't know if there will be. It's an impossible question for you to answer.
I genuinely don't believe there will. Not long ago, just like the band says, there is only one Ricky Hatton, and I don't believe that kind of support. 30,000 over to Las Vegas.
Incredible.
It's crazy. And then I think you hear of the people when you go over there of Las Vegas saying how it was. It was just like New Year's Eve, 24 hours a day with the amount of Brits that took over. But I believe that it was a special thing, and I believe I was lucky enough to be around at that time to go and see those special times, see those special nights at the arena. I'll never forget the Costa Sioux night, and I couldn't get Arlo for I couldn't get a ticket at the time. It was supposed to be the next one, but I remember staying up and not being able to sleep for days because of that excitement from those special nights. But I was blessed to be around that very special time, going on, watching Ricky Hatton.
A man who probably didn't sleep for years.
Still not sleeping.
How shall I describe you? I just think of you as like a general manager, but what would you actually describe yourself as? I mean, someone talk about getting the old band back together. You're still here.
Yeah, I don't know how you could describe what I do, but I think the primary job is to look after Rick, make sure everything's okay, and I'm fine with that.
Great memories working alongside you. You've probably got there's not a continent left on earth that I wasn't told off by you, but it was a great run, wasn't it? And is there a little bit of nostalgia watching these two legends back here, and you know, you're fulfilling your old duties and keeping everyone happy?
Yeah, I mean, you've obviously seen a massive change in his personality, Ricky. He's just so excited about this. It's been good for his physical and his mental health, and I think we're just going in for a great night on Saturday night. It's been very, very good for him.
You got a book to pick from, but what was the greatest Ricky Hatton night? What was the greatest Ricky Hatton experience?
My experiences aren't always the same as yours, so I do remember that.
Enjoy it when it's over.
Yeah. And to be fair, that is the truth. I always used to enjoy it the day after, but the biggest night's going to be Costa Zoo, definitely, you know. And I'll never forget, you know, it was famously asked, what's it going to be like fighting at 2 o'clock in Manchester? You know, he said, don't worry about it, everybody fights at 2 o'clock in Manchester. So.
Well, we should say, not everybody that's watching this will understand it, but for American TV, it was pushed back into the early hours here to match up with the US networks.
Yeah.
It meant that everybody was on US time, which meant that everybody was... I mean, we didn't adjust, did we? Everyone just went through.
No, I don't... you want to think about it, I think probably the first time that had ever been done, possibly. And so... there was events going on all around Manchester. You know, he even went to an after-fight party at 4 a.m, which is unheard of. You know, he's just got in the boxing ring, he just done 11 rounds with Costa Zoo, then he nips out to the after-fight party. But yeah, it was a tremendous night, tremendous.
How did you keep control of it all when Anthony just said, you know, 30,000 over to Vegas? You know, the Manchester Arena was never big enough. Manchester City Stadium was never big enough. How did you? Were you always aware of the scale of it? I mean, it must have been a headache, but at the same time, it must have been so rewarding when it all came together.
You've got to remember, times were different, and we're talking about no social media. So in those days, what Ricky used to do was that he still does the sportsman's dinners, but he went out on the road, and that's how he built his fan base. And pretty much most people would be either friends or they'd met him, and that's how it sort of started. And then just coordinating, it was a lot simpler then in those days. Let's put it that way, it was a lot simpler. It's still hard, but simpler.
Just one view on this week, how's it all going so far? I mean, Marco Antonio Barrera, a legend inside of the ring, but what a gentleman outside of it. He's so easy to deal with. Like the babyface assassin, he hasn't grown that old, has he? He doesn't look 48. What's he been like to deal with?
He's absolute diamond. He's been brilliant. They're friends, but at the same time, just in that meeting, there was a little glint in their eye. You could see when they had a little rules meeting, and he's like, yeah, you know. There won't be any advantage taken of the other, you know, but it's going to be a good night. I'm excited myself, you know. When you think how many fights they've had between them, over 100, how many world titles they've held between themselves, and it's a dream fight. You know, I suppose one of those fights, if you could have made it back in the day, you would have done. Marco fought Amir, if you remember, back in the day. And I feel sorry for him because he got cut badly in the first round, and really it should have been stopped. But he was a proud Mexican who wanted to keep on going, and when he went to the 5th round, then he lost on points. So maybe it's his second visit to the arena. He might want to prove something.
Let's hope not. We're billing it as exhibition. Paul, thank you very much for coming in and joining us live on Sky Sports. Paul, speak. Yeah, I mean, some very valid points there. I mean,
the night against Amir Khan, I knew he was absolutely raging. I remember boxing early on in the night, and backstage, Barrera and the team was fuming because they felt he was harshly done by. So yeah, you never know. He might come out to the arena that them demons might revisit him, and he might want to go out there and prove a point.
I think he came back on ringside years later when we had him on the ringside set, and I think he said he was at peace with it, or certainly after that he said he was at peace with it. But like I said, I'm not sure I ever believed him. Yeah, I mean, what a legend. He's here with his son, Marco Antonio Barrera Jr. I mean, you look in the mirror. I mean, he's actually talking to our reporter Ben Ransom straight in front of you there, Dave. I mean, definitely Marco Antonio Barrera's son. As soon as I walked in, I could tell that it was him. And there was a lovely moment earlier, I think I referenced it, with the two fathers and the two sons. Yeah. Sorry, you referenced it. And Campbell sort of said, you know, that Ricky said, you know, Campbell's getting a bit upset because people think we're brothers now. Now we've taken all the weight off. Ricky does look amazing. He says he's weighing around 11 stone 7. He says he's come down from around about 15 stone. Down from around 15 stone. That is dramatic weight loss. Boxing is always going to attract negative press because ultimately the aim of the game is to land blows on each other's heads. We're in, you know, a lot of studies going into brain injuries and stuff like that. It isn't safe But as far as every precaution that can be taken, I gather that what Paul said, they've chatted back there and it is being done in the right spirits. What's your view on these exhibitions?
I believe that. I think there's certain exhibitions like this that, you know, I agree with. That's not just saying and the man's 10 foot to the right of me. But I believe when it's done proper like this, and I believe these are two legends where if, for instance, I'm not saying it's going to be tippy-tappy, but if, for instance, someone does look like they might be in trouble, I don't believe anyone's going to put the foot down too hard. It's going to be done in the right situation. At the same time, I think it's going to be very competitive as well. But it's very different when there's an exhibition when someone's crazily out of shape and they've turned up basically for a paycheck. That's when it becomes dangerous, and that becomes a very controversial thing with fighters at the minute doing exhibitions with non-boxers and like that. I'm not sure I believe him, but I think if a fighter's doing this to get himself physically much better, gives himself a target, a goal to set, which I believe this has done for both of them, certainly Ricky, as he said, I believe it can be a good thing. But yeah, there's no denying all safety precautions and measures have got to be matched in, and that's what the boys have done.
What about yourself at the moment? Training fighters now. How has your transition been, as we're talking about fighters that have sort of moved over, how's your transition been to being retired? And I hear people talk about a flame, and that flame never goes out, but it dims over time.
Never, the flame never fully goes out, and I'll be honest, when I'm there Saturday night with you guys and Ricky's coming out, it'll probably bring back some memories for sure. Other than the Blue Moon song, it'll bring back some memories, and you know, the atmosphere, and you think, oh, could I do it one more time? But I believe that. I always told myself boxing's can be a very dangerous sport, and I think if you hang around in it too long, not very good things can happen. I think later on in life, and I've seen how it affected people close to me and friends of mine. So I always knew once I walked away that would be it. But I think I keep that flame burning now. I'm a coach with, you know, an handful of fighters. I've got my own stable, so I get those big nights for them on that. So one day, hopefully, I can have those. They can have those huge nights, and I can be a part of it as their coach. There's that. Sometimes I'm lucky enough to be working, having the best seats in the house, working the media, and that's something that I think helps it. But I think for me, I just love to see boxers be given a little bit of advice of, you know, the highs that you have, they don't come around again. So one, enjoy them while they're here, but also prepare yourself they don't last forever. And I believe that way you enjoy your career a little bit more. You enjoy those special nights a little bit more.
Campbell Hatton isn't in earshot, so I don't feel as bad asking you about him. Talk about, I mean, he looks like Ricky Hatton, but they're very different. Campbell's coming on slowly and surely. He's got his back to us in the brown coat at the moment, but coming off a very good win at the weekend, and dare I say, very Ricky Hatton-esque body shot, which I'm sure, you know, everybody was I think everybody was proud of it, wasn't it? It was a good shot, and he looked much better.
He certainly did, and there's signs of improvement for sure. I know him and Matthew, Ricky's brother, working very hard. But Campbell is one of them. When he turned over professional, I really felt sorry for him because the amount of pressure that was on him.
I'm going to open up because we're actually talking about.
Proud
Ray, good to see you. We're actually talking about Campbell at the moment. So what a great time for you to. I mean, have you forgiven them all? Yeah. Surely when Ricky hung them up the first time, you thought that's it. Now we can all relax. And now you've got generations.
Matthew carried on fighting, and then when Matthew finished, we thought, oh, that's good, that's great. Then all of a sudden, Campbell starts. And now we've got another one because Jack started.
Very well,
so
very well.
Carol's turned around and said, if any of the granddaughters start, she said, I'm emigrating. That'll be me done. So,
how much are you looking forward to Saturday? Is that the wrong phrase to use? Looking forward to it? Will you be able to enjoy it? Will it give a bit of closure to you guys? I'm not sure. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
No, all it is it'll be strange really because. No, this gentleman will tell you more than anything. Boxing, whether you're sparring, whether it's a professional fight, whether it's a world title fight, there's always that element. You've just got to be careful. You don't know what's going to come. So obviously, will be a little bit of anxiety there because we want them both to. And really, looking who is fighting and looking at the shape they're both in, people think it's going to be a demonstration. It'll be a demonstration of sorts.
Yeah.
Because the mentality of both the fighters. So I think it'll be highly entertaining. So you do have that worry factor, You hope that everything goes out, not just that they come out physically all right, but they have a closure and come out mentally all right, and that's all you worry about, that at the end of the fight, has it achieved what they both wanted to achieve, and that's the main thing, and so it'll be one of those where it'll be worrying, but I think it'll be emotional, be more than worry. What do you think?
No, I've just said, right, to this before, it's one of them I don't know how to feel about, because obviously any young fighter at the time, especially being a Manchester, absolutely idolised Ricky.
Yeah.
So, and then probably the best fight I've ever seen, I remember watching on Sky Sports, was Marco Antonio Barrera and Morales. So to now see them again, it's like two heroes, and you're thinking, wow, it is. I think it will be. I think it'll be really emotional. I think it'll be emotional for Ricky walking out. Everyone, the old band again, everyone chanting his name. But then, and at the same time, there'll be butterflies, but probably nice butterflies as well.
Yeah, and the thing is, if somebody has said to you, probably 20 years ago, in Manchester, Marco Antonio Barrera versus Ricky Hatton in whatever, you'd have gone, do me a favour, you know. So yeah, I think it'll be a fabulous occasion. Yeah.
Ricky's been a huge advocate for mental health, and I just want to know how proud of you, how proud of him you are when you see the shape that he's got himself in. He's going to be around 11.7 on Friday when he weighs in, coming down from 15 stone. He looks great, he's talking great. From a father to a son, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's brilliant, really, because he had his troubles, and he was in a really dark place, which affected all of us. Because at times when he was really bad, we were not oblivious to it, but we couldn't understand the change in him. You know, all of a sudden things were going wrong and things were being said that weren't right, and you're thinking, and you don't realise at the time that it is an illness, that no longer, that, you know, that's not even Richard Hatton, our son. And now the way he's worked and the way he's come back is absolutely unbelievable. His fitness and his mental state is brilliant. He's got lots of friends around him again now that it's all been forgive and forget, which is a big thing in his life, you know. And it's a good thing. And I was personally happy that the first one was postponed, because he was beginning to say to me, oh, I'm aching here, my shoulders are aching, my elbows are aching. But he'd had 12 weeks losing an awful lot of weight. So when it was cancelled and he phoned me up, I said, that's great. I said, because you've got yourself in shape, you're going to have to keep in shape physically and mentally for another 3-4 months and go again.
Starting training camp at a much higher place, right?
Correct. He's not training to losing the weight. He'll be training to focus on the demonstration. So for me, it was perfect that it was called off.
Well, we can't wait to see it. We're delighted to see you, the gang, everyone's back. Can't wait to see it ringside as well. Ray, thank you very much for joining us. Ray Hatton, that's Richard Hatton's father. Whenever I hear someone call him Richard, I always think, who do you mean? But yeah, Richard. We're told, I've just got the number that we've all been waiting for. He's 5 minutes away, apparently, Marco Antonio Barrera. My cameraman is just about to clap, so we haven't even got started yet. Stay with us. Let me just ask you very briefly, just flicking back to the boxer side of the card. Joe Gallagher's input. There you go. Yeah. You can thank me now. Joe Gallagher, got him in there. Joe Gallagher's input on Tasha Jonas. He won't thank me for saying this, but easy man's poke. Criticism, because he puts himself out there, he goes front and centre, and if you do that, you open yourself up to criticism. My lord, he has got his criticism in the past. Well, talk about success that he's found with Tasha when a lot of people wrote them off. He never did. Look, I've got WhatsApps and phone calls from him where he never, it'll come back, and I have to give him a shout out for tactics and belief and everything that he did with Tasha.
He's, Joe, as a coach, has done unbelievable things with a lot of the stable. I'd like to think me being one of them, but I think the Natasha Jonas, Joe Gallagher partnership is right up there, because you've got to remember, I think it was against Vivian Orbanoff, Tasha was written off, didn't look like she was going to ever do anything. And let's be honest, when she fought Terry Harper, she was a huge underdog, and Joe again was very vocal on what Tasha was going to do, and people thought, and I said to people, you've got to give him credit. If she does this, you've got to give it. And she very nearly did. A lot of people, she could have done an unbelievable fight between her and Terry Harper. But the run she's gone on since, obviously, the Katie Taylor fight, then winning a world title, and then unifying next time out, and then we go this Saturday, and she fights for the Ring Magazine belt as well against another world champion. It's an unbelievable story, and Tasha's one of the real good girls in the sport, and she's doing great things and inspires so many people in the area for the work that she does in the area as well. It's a great partnership, and you've got to give it the utmost respect.
Yep, long may it continue. Campbell, great to see you. Campbell Hatton, how are you? Congratulations for the weekend. A body shot that was felt around the world, probably one of the best shots you've thrown as a pro, I would have thought. How do you reflect on the whole experience out in Abu Dhabi?
Yeah, buzzing with it. Not stopped getting my phone out, showing people. Going to have to pull Marco and show him in a minute.
Well, he did mention it to you, didn't he?
Yeah, but I can always remind him, can't I? No one sees it just once. But yeah, dead happy with that.
Yeah. Do you feel like you're now starting to show everybody improvements with every fight, which I presume is one of the things that's most important to you, to show small improvements every time?
Yeah, I think now people are seeing a bit more of me. They're comparing me to my past performances instead of comparing me to my dad as much. So it's a bit like a weight's lifted now, where I've sort of settled into my own career a bit and can just concentrate on improving, and I think that's what I've been doing.
Can we talk about your dad? He done you there, didn't he, with Marco, and said people keep calling us brothers now, I've lost all the weight, and it's driving Campbell mad. But he does look in great shape. I want to sort of... I want to give you... No. I want to pick a positive or a negative here. Easy one. How proud of him are you?
Yeah, really proud to see where he's come from in the last 12 months, maybe not even that. He's like physically, mentally, he seems such a good place, and like we've shared a few rounds in the ring, and watching him train, he's just looking so well, and it gives me a lot of confidence how well he's going to do this weekend.
He's always got words of advice for you, and he's not short of telling you. You're going to be ringside on Saturday. You're going to get your own back and start giving him some tellings off and some words of advice from ringside.
Yeah, he'll be able to hear me, and it might not all be nice if he keeps telling people we're brothers.
I asked him if he'd let you in the corner, and he said no, he's not allowed.
Nah, probably best for all involved.
Just a quick word on Marco Antonio Barrera as well. Obviously, you know, you idolise your dad, but you will have your ring heroes as well, and I'm sure Barrera's on that list in terms of one of the modern greats. How great is it to see him as well?
Yeah, I was buzzing to see Marco. I won't tell my dad too much this week, but he is one of my favourites, and I like to talk to him, and for Marco to say, "Oh, I saw you fight," and he went, "Oh, Mexican body shot," and I was like a kid at Christmas. So I was well happy with that, and it's just another little motivator for me.
Well, great win at the weekend. Thank you very much for joining us. And you can see, Anthony, if you step to one side, and we'll push in, Marco Antonio Barrera gets his, I know what you're all saying at home, finally gets his workout underway. So this is Marco Antonio Barrera, 48 years old now, but still very much the baby-faced assassin. A legend of boxing, a legend of Mexican boxing particularly. Three-weight world champion. Retired back in 2011 with a record of 74 fights. 67 of those were victories. And of those victories, 44 of them came within the distance. Just the 7 losses. I mean, there's so many highlights and memories. I wonder which one stands out for you. It's difficult to get past the trilogy with his great rival and now friend Eric Morales.
And that is the one that sticks out for me. I've said a few times, I think that's probably the best fight, my favourite fight of all time. Barrera Morales won.
Can you imagine being there? I mean, I
could only imagine. I can only imagine being involved in a fight like that. But there's that. But then even I remember being at school and staying up all night with one of my pals to watch him defeat Nazim Hamed.
Yeah, I mean, that was huge at the time. Pre-social media as well.
Exactly that. There's so many big nights, and I remember before that, I'm showing my age a little bit, the body shot against Paul Lloyd. Was that his first visit over these shows?
Yeah, I think so, certainly.
And that was, a very capable fighter, Paul Lloyd, a very good fighter, but the body shots was vicious that night. and we'll see many of them get through on Saturday.
I'm going to lower my voice a little bit because obviously his team are around, and I still don't know how. In terms of grudges, the Morales grudge was something we probably could never tap into, just because the word hatred is a strong word, but they certainly severely disliked each other. Do you remember their press conference when they came to blows?
There's so many. Let's be honest. There's so many supposed good matches or sort of fake beef, as you might as well say, but that was certainly not. And I think, as you've seen, I think it was for the rematch, wasn't it? But I think a lot of people's opinion was, if I remember right, the first fight Morales when a lot thought Barrera had done enough. I know I did. Second fight, Barrera got, they thought Morales had done enough, and then obviously third fight I thought the right decision with Marco Antonio coming best off in the trilogy. But it's an unbelievable trilogy. I know people talk of Toro Gatti, Mickey Ward, but this is right up there with them, and I don't think there's many more that you could put up on that level.
The trilogy was that good that a lot of people don't know who won and what was at stake, which is a mark of how good. A lot like Gatti Ward. Ultimately, at the end of it, the results for those guys, it really did matter, but it didn't matter at the time simply because the fights were that good. And I don't know. I even asked someone in the office yesterday to remind me, and they were like, I don't remember. It was the fights were that good. Yeah,
which is a nice thing as well, because of the the special fights they put on for the fans, and people talk more about that than who won them. But you always wonder, what did those kind of fights, trilogies, take from the fighters, for later on in the careers. I mean, listen, Marco had done unbelievable things leading up to that as well. But certainly when you look at, Gatti and Ward did it, what it took out of them for later on in their career, and Morales as well. But a very, very special fighter and an Hall of Famer for sure.
Just going through some of the comments on our YouTube stream, so feel free to chip in, guys, if you want me to ask anything to Anthony Crolla or the guys. A lot of people asking, is this a real fight or is it an exhibition? I want to make that really, really clear. It's an exhibition between two retired fighters, long retired, two legends of the sport who are simply celebrating back at the Manchester Arena on Saturday night. Rules-wise, the two are aiming to weigh in just under 12 stone. No head guards, no T-shirts. 8 2-minute rounds. Am I right in saying years ago, I know a lot of Gallagher's gym fighters went down there, but did you get a chance to spar Barrera?
I did. I had the absolute privilege and honour to do a round with him. We did. I remember myself, Scotty Carlos, Scott Quigg. Yes, it was. I think it was 2011, and it was only a round. I felt like I learnt something from them. Just a professor in there, just so good at everything he'd done. And obviously that was when he'd slowed down, but still, it was an honour to share a ring, even if it was only in the gym and sparring. That I did with Marco Antonio Barrera, but you could just see just how wily, how clever he was in there, and in those 3 minutes I learned an awful lot.
Easy to say now, but when you get the opportunity to do it, were you intimidated or nervous to get in there with someone like Barrera?
I genuinely don't think I was intimidated, but there was nerves there where I knew I had to be super switched on, but there was also a respect, but at the same time you didn't want to show too much to him because you wanted to impress him. That's how I felt. I wanted to impress him. I remember him having some nice words after it. But it was them 3 minutes, I believe. Certainly at that point in my career, I learnt more in 3 minutes there sparring with him with the head guard and gloves on than I did in some of my fights, for sure.
Yeah, incredible. They may have slowed down, but they still know all the tricks and still know all of the smarts that they picked up over the years. He's flown in with a relatively big team, Marco, and he's no stranger to these shores. As I mentioned earlier, we had him on the ringside set post-retirement. You mentioned Paul Lloyd, mentioned the Amir Khan fight at the Manchester Arena, so he knows this part of the world very well. But him and Ricky are old friends, which always makes me laugh, especially the story around the Castillo fight where Ricky said, "Are you sure?" Marco asked him if he'd be allowed to walk the belt out, and he said, "Are you sure that's the right thing to do against Castillo, a fellow Mexican?" And he said, "No, you're my brother, you're the one." And that there's a great shot of the two of them standing in the ring together.
It's this relationship, friendship goes way back, but I think, as we keep mentioning, they're both very proud fighting men, and I believe that with that you'll see some nice tasty exchanges, but they'll be respectful. I think everyone's just unsure, what to expect, but it's going to be really rolling back the clock, and I look forward to seeing what we're about to see. And you just mentioned there with Marco Antonio, he's brought a good team over with him. He's took it seriously, even to the point here now, the stretches before training, obviously always important, but at that age you don't want any injuries. And it's good. He seems in a great place, and I think, like you said, I've said it a few times, I think they'll inspire an awful lot of people in there on the arena and watching on TV Saturday night.
Go to a couple of the questions. Disco Stew Madrid, how good is Barrera's English? Can you get a few words? Well, I'm hoping after he's done a little bit of a workout, we'll get an interview with him. He's already done our colleagues at Sky Sports News, and he did half in English, half via a translator who was his son. So we'll try and get a couple of questions with him. Any questions you want asking, send them in. I saw a question as to whether or not would there be a winner. Jason Connolly asked, yes, will there be a winner? No, I don't believe so. There will not be a winner announced at the end, so call it a draw. Like we say, it's a celebration, and whilst it will be competitive, it will not have a competitive outcome. There won't be a winner announced, although I'm sure everybody will pick a winner, and both guys will want to win in inverted commas. Any questions you want for Anthony Cruller, who's staying with us, send them in now. Toby Bartlett references something that you said earlier. I thought Tasha beat Terry Harper. Massive respect to Miss GB. Yeah, I mean, all I would say is we're not picking sides. Terry didn't score it, and she's had a loss but come back spectacularly. Yeah, spectacularly to become a world champion again. So well done to Terry Harper. Ricky will have one eye on settling the score with Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. I mean, we are in the age of exhibitions, as I said, and there will be
coming to the UK next year, so who knows? We might see the rematch to an extent. But I think Floyd this week's been very vocal on coming to the UK next year. For what type of opponent, we're not sure, but I think, as Floyd says, as long as it makes money sense, it'll happen.
Yeah, he's fighting Deji this week out in Dubai. Adam Porter, so it's a spar then. Well, I certainly won't be telling him that, and even from the safety of here. Marco just going through a little bit of shadow boxing. So welcome back to the Marco Antonio Barrera Open workout. He's just going through a little bit of a routine, just off camera. I have been joined by Blaine Eunice, who is, I'm going to say, trainer of Brad Ray first, because you've got very serious business. Brad Ray takes on English champion Tyler Denny on Saturday night, but you've been heavily involved with Ricky Hatton's comeback for this exhibition. Congratulations to you. He looks in great shape, and I know he has to do it himself, but you've whipped him into great shape. You must be pretty proud, I would have thought, of how he looks.
Oh yeah, it's been a really good experience for me. Obviously working with someone that we know has been at the very top of the game, a legend of the game. And it's been good to see firsthand the mindset that you see Ricky get in once he's in a training camp, and you know how hard he does work in the gym, and so he's not cut any corners. He's at right, he's trained hard, and basically what I've done when I've been training him is trained him with the other fighters and just mixed him in, and he's done everything our fighters do. So it's not like he's trained as if he's, you know, old and past it or whatever. He's trained like a young, hungry fighter, and it's been good to see, yeah.
I've seen, we came up last week, ironically you were a little bit under the weather, so Ricky led the session, and far from put his feet up and you know, not take the lead, he was setting the pace for the other guys. And yes, he's 44, yes, it's an exhibition, but I'm fascinated to hear you say about that mindset. You know, it doesn't leave you. He wants to set the bar, he wants to be the one setting the targets. How have the younger fighters in the gym reacted to that?
Yeah, it's been good. I think it's worked both ways, because for them, then they're seeing him do that after all this time out of the ring. Obviously, if they think us lacking, they're a bit like, well, if he's doing this, I need to be doing this. But then at the same time, it's worked exactly the same for Rick. You know, when he's felt like he needs to take his foot off the gas or whatever, and he's got these, you know, young guns next to him, it's pulled him on, and he's gone, no, I want to do what these are doing. And he's been doing exactly the same as our fighters, you know, matching them, pushing them. They've been pushing him, sparring with them, and holding his own with everyone. And, you know, it's been good to see. I've seen as well, in his boxing, it's mad, like, obviously because he'd not trained with me before, when we first started training, it was getting used to each other on the pads and things like that, and, you know, just working each other out a little bit. And you can see, like, when he gets something wrong, you know, he's gritting his teeth, and then within a couple of goals he's getting it right, and it's, you know, it's been sorted, and, you know, like a little bit of a perfectionist in what he's doing, like, and it's been really good to see, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. One quick one on Brad Ray. I mean, one of the real success stories of boxers link up with Sky Sports. We're delighted to have him, but he's in a very tough fight this weekend against Tyler Denny, who rightfully is English champion. He produced a brilliant win against River Wilson Bent. What do you have to do to beat him? There is a sizable height advantage for Brad, but punching down isn't always easy, I suppose.
No, and he's southpaw as well, which makes it a bit more awkward. I think they've both got a lot of the same type of attributes in terms of Tyler can box on the back foot, he can come in and have a fight. Brad can box long. Brad likes to come in and have a fight. I think this fight has got the potential to steal the show, if I'm honest.
That's exactly what Anthony Croller has already said, so don't worry, he's picking this one to steal the show.
Yeah, I think, you know, the thing with Brad is there's only so long before he'll stand and have a fight with someone, and it's the same with Tyler. We've seen it with River Bent, we've seen it with Linus Udolphia. Tyler don't shy away from a scrap, but we've prepared, like, for everything. You know, if we're prepared, if we can box him, we'll box him. You know, if he's going to come and put it on us and have a fight, we can fight. And we're prepared for the different versions of Tyler that we've seen when we've watched videos and stuff. So I just think, you know, we're prepared from all angles. I'm sure they have. And on the night, like I say, I think it's got potential to steal the show. But either way, we're prepared for 10 hard rounds. I'm sure they are. He's done the rounds plenty of times before, Tyler. And we'll see on the night, won't we? Yeah. But we're prepared, we're ready.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Both fights that you're involved in. Blaine, thank you very much. Blaine Eunice joining us live on the stream. Back to Barrera. Just doing a little bit of pad work. Just dipping back into the comments that we've got here. Rich Flynn, will we see Hatton Senior versus Junior? I urge you to Google an article. I don't want to name the paper because I don't want to get it wrong, but I know that they sparred and Ricky dropped Campbell with a body shot, and it was a source of much hilarity. Lots of you guys in the comments discussing Taylor Catterall. Well, awaiting news on that. I've seen the same reports as you, that it's mooted and penciled for February next year. Still awaiting confirmation, but we're all looking forward to hopefully seeing those two rematch. I'll leave you guys to discuss the result in the comments. If you're just joining us, this is Marco Antonio Barrera, the baby-faced assassin, the legend from Mexico, just completing his media workout here in Hyde, Manchester, ahead of his exhibition with Ricky the Hitman Hatton. There you go. One for old time's sake. Marco Antonio Barrera going through the motions there. So just been told they're just going to do one more of these, and then we're going to grab a quick word with Marco.
Barrera, 1-2.
Marco, I know you speak a little bit of English, but I'll wait for your son, Marco Antonio Barrera Jr., to come in just in case. Great to see you back here in Manchester. Great to see you looking so sharp in the ring. How much are you looking forward to getting in there on Saturday with your old mate, Ricky Hatton?
¿Qué tan emocionado estás? Estoy emocionado, contento, formar parte de la primera exhibición de Ricky Hatton después de tantos años retirado, y quiero que esto se convierta en una fiesta para todo Manchester.
I'm excited, I'm happy. What great honor to be Ricky Hatton's first exhibition.
it's not going to be real exhibition, it's more going to be of a party. We're going to celebrate Ricky, we're going to celebrate me, we're going to celebrate the people of Manchester.
Not everybody will know that you two are old friends. Where did that friendship begin between the two of you?
Efectivamente, yo me acuerdo que hace más de 20 años él iba a ver mis peleas, iba junto con Rooney, no lo conocía. Se presentaba a ver mis peleas, entraba a mi vestidor, salía a verlo, salíamos a cenar. Después le tocaba pelear a él, yo iba a ver las de él, le correspondía. Y varias veces vinimos aquí a Manchester a cenar con las esposas, una relación muy bonita.
They started going to my fights alongside Wayne Rooney. I didn't know who Wayne Rooney was at the time, but I was like, oh, they're nice people, I guess. Hatton started going to my dressing room, just started saying hi. And then when Hatton was fighting, then it was my turn. I was showing up, I was saying hi. And then, you know, who would have guessed that we were going out to dinner, our wives started a good, beautiful friendship. So that's just how it happened.
Lo sorprendente de la amistad es tan fuertes que cuando él peleó con José Luis Castillo, mexicano, yo subí en la esquina de Ricky Hatton.
Even more surprising, we had such a friendship that when Hatton fought Castillo, I went up with Hatton instead of Castillo.
Yeah, I heard that. Ricky has spoken so openly about how this exhibition has given him a structure and it's helped him with his mental health. What about you? Has it given you something to aim for?
Como esta exhibición le ayuda mucho en su salud mental, física. ¿Qué onda contigo? ¿También te ha ayudado? ¿En qué aspectos?
Primeramente, creo que estoy contento por haber colaborado un poquito con Hatton. La verdad, bajar de peso mentalmente estuvo mal cuando se retiró. Que él haya pensado en mí a pesar de todo eso. Estoy contento y empiezo a colaborar un poquito con la exhibición. A mí me fue muy fácil por platicar con mis hijos y mi esposa y poder trabajar dentro del boxeo.
For me, it's such a blessing to be a part of Hatton's journey and recovery and just weight loss. You know, I'm a big part of it due to this exhibition, so I'm very happy, very honored to be a part of it. I know that when Hatton hanged the gloves, it was very hard for him. It was a big hit on his life. It wasn't for me in that aspect. I had a talk with my family. We all agreed that it was time. But just hearing that I'm being a part of it and just seeing Hatton in this great shape is just making me very happy.
I know it's an exhibition, but you still do have that competitive spirit. And Ricky has spoken openly about, you know, if Marco goes to here, I'll go to here, I'll go to here. It is still a competitive edge between two great mates.
Es una exhibición, claro que sí, pero todavía hay esa competitividad, todavía tienes eso. Ricky ha dicho que si tú vas aquí, él va a ir acá, y si tú vas acá, él va a ir acá.
Y va a ser lo mismo. Ahora sí que, como me dice mi señora, como te peguen, te pego. Entonces, así va a ser. Como él nos pegue, le vamos a pegar. Pero queremos que salga bien y le guste a la gente.
Definitely. I mean, let's not forget it's a contact sport. Like my wife says, however you punch me, I'll punch you back. So we'll just see what happens. It's definitely going to be an exhibition. It's going to be family friendly, but who knows what can happen inside the ring.
You still got the face of the babyface assassin. What's the secret?
Babyface fue hace como 30 años atrás, entonces va a ser complicado para esta noche.
Tú me tienes la cara de Babyface. ¿Cuál es el secreto?
El secreto es que me regaña mi esposa 3 veces al día y me pone a hacer las labores domésticas. Es lo que me tiene joven.
What keeps me young is my wife putting me to do chores around the house and her yelling at me 3 times a day.
Okay, look, we'll edit that so my wife doesn't hear that. Thank you very much. Mucha suerte. There you go. Marco Antonio Barrera, still the baby-faced assassin. The secret to his eternal youth, domestic chores.
covering your new backs.
Okay, so that concludes the Marco Antonio Barrera part of our open workout. Anthony Croller is still with us. Great to see Marco rolling back the years there. Yeah. I mean, he is 48. There's no one saying that this is a comeback. No one's saying that this is prime Barrera, but it is still quite nice just to see him firing off a few combinations there.
He looked really well, and he's still sharp. Hands still look sharp, and he's done a lot more than we expected, didn't he?
Did you hear what he said the secret to his longevity and babyface looks was?
I'm guessing it was not get hit too much, which he didn't.
He said his wife making him do chores around the house. So obviously we're absolutely.
I think a few will be trying that then tonight. But no, he puts them together still really well, and it just makes you think now. I think, you know, if he's throwing them in bunches like that, Ricky's really got to be on it, and I think he will. But he's looking at Ricky here, he looks in absolutely fantastic shape, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really does. He really does. It's quite nice just to hear from all of the associated family members and team members as well. Yeah, it was great to hear, you know, just everybody so proud of him, particularly Campbell as well. It's nice to hear.
No, it is, yeah, and there was a few little digs there, which was nice, which I'm sure if Ricky does anything wrong, Campbell will certainly be reminding him after it what he did. But no, there's a great relationship there, and I think, you know, Ricky was super proud of his son for the performance he put in weekend, and it's nice to see that, like he saw Campbell saying, just how he has been mentally as well. He's so much better for this, and that's where, when people criticise these events, they've also got to look at that side of things as well, what it does for the individual mentally. And I've said it a few times now, and hopefully, I'm certain it will do. It'll inspire others going through similar troubles that Ricky has been outspoken about, for themselves to sort of look after themselves that little bit better and get themselves in a better shape, both physically and mentally, to work on themselves.
I don't think, unless you've played sport at the highest level, I just can't understand, you know, the feeling of waking up one day and your career, as you know it, is over. You had that incredible moment in the ring afterwards. I don't mind. Hopefully, you don't mind. You stood there before they came to us live, and you said, "I know that's it." Yeah. But not everybody does know. It must be incredibly difficult to make that call.
Yeah, it has, and I think when I look now, I might have checked out before then and not realised, but I knew, like you said, after that, and I was like. And it was almost like, as much as I love boxing and being around it, it was almost like I knew. I thought I was happy it was over, if that makes sense. So I sometimes feel a little bit guilty when people say, "Do you miss it?" And I go, I don't know, because I got everything out of it that I wanted to, but I'm still around it in other ways, and that's it. And I think I mentioned it before. I just think it helps so many more fighters if they could come to terms with that, or if they could be helped to see how they need to come to terms with that before they actually do. So yeah, and it's not contradicting myself. People say, oh well, why Ricky's back? But like I said, this is more than him having a fight. This isn't Ricky looking to be world champion again or whatsoever, or a payday or anything like that. But it's great what it's done for him, and I think if to see some of the nights that Ricky gave us over the years, to see him in such a good place, it's brilliant.
What about the comparison between training a fighter to a really good victory, even if it's talk about football with away days, but training someone to beat someone? You have had that privilege now. You're training fighters, amateurs as well. Are you able to replace the buzz to a degree?
Yes, yeah, to a degree. Certainly, it helps fill that void. Listen, will it ever fill the void fully of walking out in front of a packed arena? Probably not. But you can live that dream through someone else. And listen, whether that be a fighter at an amateur level fighting in a sports centre, and or a fighter who walks into the gym without any confidence, then turn them to much better people, or saving people from going down the wrong path. Or for me, probably my best part of my career, the coaching career, it was one of my lads winning an 8-rounder at near midnight away from TV, but I saw what it meant to him. Yeah. So I think you've got to work on those things, but I still think you're watching fights of opponents, studying, and you're sort of testing your boxing brain. So it's a little bit different, but it's also really satisfying when it pays off.
Is everything back up and running with your amateur club? Yes. Forgive me, I haven't stayed across the stories as much as I should have, but I know you've had some terrible experiences with the gym burning down. Where is that at the moment?
Yes, no, it's absolutely flying, and we're really thankful for that. He was involved in 2 fires in just over a year, so it was very hard to take, but now we're up, we're flying, and like I say, the gym's packed every single night, boys and girls coming through, and that's really rewarding, really, really rewarding seeing them come through.
Dave, I'm just going to get you to swing round, and I'm going to bring Brad. I'll bring you in here. Brad Ray, great to see you. I don't know, all dancing around it. Great to see you. You're not part of the exhibition part of the card, but the boxer part of the card. Huge night for you on Saturday against Tyler Denny. Anthony Crow's already bigged you up. Just how much are you looking forward to this opportunity? It's not an easy fight against Tyler Denny. You can win a number of different ways. He's very, very tough, and you're going to be punching down. He's shorter than you, but you are very tall for the weight.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Tough fight against Denny. Very good fighter. He's been around. He's quite seasoned, quite experienced. It's by far my toughest fight to date, my toughest test. But I've put the work in the gym. We've had a good camp, and couldn't have gone any better really. So I'm confident we're going to get the job done.
Back at the arena as well. Right, I'll catch up with you after this because you've been drowned out by the band. So Ricky Hatton just going through the motions here. Apologies if there was any swearing that bled through there. It's a live environment, but apologies nonetheless. Brad, I'm going to come back to you before the band blew my eardrums. Yeah, back at the arena. It's an arena that we know is very, very special to you, both as a fighter and a fan now.
Yeah, definitely. You know, it's the arena. You know, I've been going to for years. You know, watching the likes of Ant and Ricky, sat in the cheap seats. But you know, now it's me in there, and it's always been kind of a goal and a dream of mine to fight there. And you know, when I fought there, you know, I was like, right, what fight when it's full, and when I box when it's full, I was like, right, what win titles here? So you know, I'm just ticking things off slowly but surely, and who knows, maybe one day it could be me, you know, headlining there.
Really intrigues me. Two different events, but I think I'm not breaking any rules by saying, you know, effectively you can say you boxed on the same card as Ricky Hatton. Not many people thought that they would get that opportunity, 10 years retired, but to box on the same card as Ricky and Barrera, it is pretty surreal. What does it mean to you? You've trained the whole camp alongside him, share a trainer in Blaine Eunice as well.
Yeah, you know, it's been great. Obviously, we've kind of gone through the full camp together, fighting on the same date, so we've been in, just me and him, doing sessions with Blaine, and you know, it's gonna be great. Like I say, I'll be telling people I'm sharing the card with him anyway. But yeah, you know, I've ticked off. I've done pads with him. I've had him in my corner, and you know, now I'm on the same bill as him, so can't complain.
Amazing. And just finally, just on your fight, what would it mean to you to pick up first title at your favourite arena, live on Sky Sports? It's a pretty big deal, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a big deal. It is a big deal, and
I stopped because I don't want to put too much pressure on you, but at the same time, you know, we're bigging it up. A lot of people are picking it already to be fight of the night.
Yeah, you know, I think it's going to be a great fight, and for me, if this first title fight for me could have happened anywhere in the world, you know, Madison Square Garden, Caesars Palace, you know, I want it at Manchester Arena, so it means the world to me that, you know, hopefully the city can get behind me and get the job done.
Best of luck, Brad. Go well.
okay. Scott's got the best video, hasn't it? Yeah. It's been annoying, isn't it? He's filming it, huh?
Stand down a bit and then I'll put Scott's version. Get it going again. I'm about 7,000.
Ricky, what an atmosphere. The band are back. I don't want to repeat what you said, but we haven't really missed the band, dare I say, but we've all got a headache. But
party like a Ricky Hatton party, always goes with a bang.
Yeah.
That's just a training session.
Great to see you.
Out of it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like a throwback. That's what it feels like, truthfully. How did it feel back in there?
Yeah, lovely. I mean, it's great to see Marco. I spoke to him a couple of days ago when he got off the plane. We got off the plane yesterday. He's in good spirits. Just the build-up couldn't have gone any better. I couldn't feel any sharper than I feel there now, nice and sharp and explosive. It's been so good, the build-up for me and for a lot of people. But now a couple of days away, it's about me putting the finishing touches to it, which is all that matters, which is the performance and the show for the fans, which was always been my priority, and Marco's for that matter. So that's where it will be. It'll be exciting, be good.
Lovely stuff of you and your two sons, Campbell with you and Marco Antonio Barrera Jr. It does show that it feels like a throwback, but time moves on at the same time. You've got two grown-up sons now between you.
Yeah, we've had so many great times over the years. When you think now, we've had the kids. Campbell's going professional. Marco Jr. there looking after his dad. He's doing the interpreting. Lovely kid. I'm a granddad now. Do you know what I mean? And we've had so many good times through our fighting careers, and me going to cheer Marco on and Marco cheering me on, me walking him to the ring, him walking me to the ring. And I never thought this would be possible, because he is a genuine hero of mine. Like he is, if you're a boxing fan,
and he's not a hero of yours, then you're not a boxing fan. But me and Marco said, listen, we just said, we know we can't let this, not one person walks away Saturday night yawning or waving their eyes, no chance. I said, I'd rather not do it. But I said, me and you know. He went, I know exactly what you mean, Ricky, and that's the beauty. It'll be exciting, but there's a bit of professional pride because we're both former champions, we're proud people. I'm not having him come and outbox me, and I've no doubt he'll be saying the same, so it's going to be good, it's going to be good.
That was the key message that I got from the two of you, though, a celebration, a fiesta in his words, but a celebration.
Well, I always, nobody wants to see the heroes make a comeback and get hurt. I was very fortunate, in my last fight, I didn't get majorly hurt, I got stopped with a body shot, but didn't get majorly hurt. But how many times through history have you seen fighters, have that one last fight and they get hurt, and it's not what we, as fight fans, we want to see. So my days of 12-3s with the 8-ounce gloves are gone, well behind me. But in a controlled environment like this, with bigger gloves, shorter rounds, less rounds, where there's an understanding between us both, we can showcase our skills one last time for the fans, which I'm all for that. We don't want to see no one getting hurt in this game, you know what I mean? But we can make it entertaining, and the fans will love it.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for having us up here today. I'll let you finish off. Good to see you. That concludes our Mammoth live stream for today. If you stayed with us, good on you. Make sure you join us throughout the rest of the week. We've got all of the events from this exhibition. So Hatton and Barrera, the exhibition, but also the other event on the same night, separate promotion, the Boxer Fight Night, topped by Natasha Jonas against Marie-Eve Decaire. She's going for unification of 3 world titles. What an event that's going to be, and a great undercard on that one as well. So make sure you join us throughout the week, and thank you for staying with us.